All right, welcome in to Daily Fix. It is Tuesday. It is game week for the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs. So welcome in. Hey, I promise you, I don't know if we're the best coverage, but it ain't gonna be no coverage. You ain't gonna see nothing this week like you have seen, where you'll see anywhere else. I promise you. See here, not only are our words unique, but we are unique all week long. So stay right here on the Daily Fix presented by Foolish Club Media. That there is Steve Serta in the little box as he rolls every day where he rightfully belongs. The first thing I need you to do is head over to Foolish Club Media on YouTube and like and subscribe. If you're listening on Twitter, we appreciate you. Hello. If you're listening on YouTube, even more, hello. Tell a friend or 19 and head to Foolish Club Media on our YouTube page and like and subscribe. That is where the Daily Fix is powered by the Foolish Club Media. Go ahead and like and subscribe. If you do not, you are preventing my 3 children from eating. So hang with us all week, every day, right here at 12 o'clock. All right, I ain't gonna hold you long. A couple of things I want to get to. I just want to say this last gentleman, if this was one of my sons, I'd whip his ass. I'd whip his ass and make him do conditioning. We'll get to that in a bit. Let's see how cheap Mike Brown is going to continue to be. And the situation that the opponent for the Chiefs in week 2, if they continue to do stupid, we'll see if they do that. But before we get there, it is game week. The Chiefs and the Ravens kick things off in 2 days. And Serta, I cannot wait because I am so intrigued now. Parts of it we'll not be able to see. Obviously, there's no Hollywood Brown. But I'm intrigued and excited, Steve, because I don't really actually know what we're going to see from this offense. Like, I think we've talked about it all off season. We've talked about it on Show and BK on the Chiefs. We talked about it right here on the Daily Fix, this offense and what it could be and what it looks like it might be and all the weapons and how different it is. And you don't have to depend on Sky Moore to be a starter in week 1. He's just made the team and he's the 7th receiver for no reason. Like, you can see all of the tools and the weapons, and it feels like a lot of people believe this offense is going to get more to the explosive offenses that we have been grown accustomed to under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm excited and intrigued to see how they incorporate Worthy. We saw what they did in the preseason, but you know that ain't nothing. And how how is the run game going to be? They add P. Ryan, another good back out of the backfield that can catch the ball, like a bigger version of Jerick McKinnon. Like, how is Kelsey going to be used this year? And Rashee Rice, a year 2 in the system. I know you have gotten real wide receiver horny over him and what he's done in practice. Like, it is, you can see the weapons. Are we going to be looking at an offense that's putting up 30, near 30 like we're accustomed to? Or is this going to look anything close to what we was looking at last year where, God, if they could just get to 20? Boy, it felt like they were on about an 8-week stretch where 19 was the high mark of what they could do. That's my thing, is I'm excited and intrigued to see what this offense is going to be, because everybody thinks they're going back. We talked about the 18, we talked about 19, 20, but we haven't seen it yet. And I Steve, that's probably the most thing I'm intrigued about, to see what this offense actually looks like.
I just want it to look easier.
Yes,
it was not easy last season. It was not a fun hang last season.
It was not.
I just want it to look easier, and like they're having fun and they're scoring touchdowns and not settling for 6 field goals because the offense isn't functional anymore.
It was like drinking Bud Heavy. Like, all right, I mean, it's gonna get the job done, and it's prestige, but damn, boy, this is hard to get down. Like, we're a step away from Bud Ice, and that's obviously where you don't want to be. But you ain't lying, man. It was, I complained about the lack of big plays from the previous year's offense that was the number one offense in the league. Hey, I would crave to get back to that. I would crave to have the 19 cuts to get to the end zone, the 8, 10, 11 plate drive that ended in points and touchdowns, because we didn't get that last year. So that's the thing is everybody believes it'll be better. I just want to see what it actually looks like. All right. Speaking of opponents, the Chiefs obviously have the Ravens on Thursday, but week 2, arguably their 2 most important games when you talk about seeding. They go right back to back at home with the Ravens and the Bengals, and the Bengals are still awaiting what's going to happen with Jamar Chase. He's holding in. He ain't practicing. My man is strolling into practice 15, 17 minutes late in a white tee and shorts. I mean, my man, he is trying to give off I don't give a rip meters as loud as possible. Sunglasses and a do-rag and a white tee and gray shorts. And I'm strolling in after stretches or doing stretches, just walking in and just standing. And for me is who's going to not be stupid? Really, there's only one piece to not be stupid. One, there's 2 things here. One, are the Bengals going to seriously continue this and not just give him the contract that he's going to get? All right. I don't know if they're going to actually pay T. Higgins. I could see them not paying T. Higgins, so I could see them holding firm here. Steve, we all know they're going to pay Jamar Chase. They're going to. They're not going to not pay T. Higgins and then not pay Jamar. They're going to pay Jamar Chase. And now we have an idea of where the wide receiver market is. We see where Justin Jefferson is. CeeDee Lamb just fell right there. It is clear the numbers that you should be around. How long are they going to do this? How long are they going to do this? And does Jamar Chase have the balls to pull off the Chris Jones? Will he miss games or a game? Will he sit this thing out and be there while they play the Patriots and just not play like Chris Jones did? Because that sure as hell sped up the process and ultimately got him the money he wanted to get. But this, to me, is on the Bengals. You know you're going to pay this dude. Pay him and get him into camp. It is the stupidest thing ever. They're not going to not pay him. So go ahead and do it. It is, I don't know who's going to blink first, but Jamar Chase, he looks like he's crazy enough to sit up there at the game with lawyers or agents that look like mobsters right next to him at the game the way Chris Jones did.
And the Bengals are notoriously cheap, and I know CeeDee Lamb just signed a new massive contract, but and CeeDee Lamb is an incredible player along with players like Justin Jefferson, but Jamar Chase isn't looking for top 3 to 5 wide receiver money. Jamar Chase wants to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL, and the Bengals are going to have to do that, and that's why they're probably not going to re-sign T. Higgins. But they need to just get this over with because it does seem like he is willing to sit out games and take the fines and do whatever he has to do to make sure he gets that contract right now because that's when he wants it.
And you go to Arrowhead in week 2 for your biggest game of the year. You go to Arrowhead for week 2, and I'm not saying that the cat can't, pull it together and doesn't know the offense or whatever, but like he's now been sitting for a minute. You would rather have your dude in to be there. Or at worst, he finally comes back and he's pissed. and he's pissed and ruins the vibes for the team. So go ahead, Bengals. Keep doing what you do. But y'all know y'all got to come up off this money. And you might as well do it and get him in camp. All right, finally here. What's this fella's name? Nito
Akpala.
Sure.
Nito pronunciation, but that's what I think it is.
El Nito was El Lamo at this in the BC Florida State game. It's about the only lame thing that happened in that game. Florida State, my God, what has happened to you? All right, we talked this ACC. We talked about Clemson last week. Now Florida State. Those are the 2 top teams. I want you to look at this nut. I want you to look at this video of this nut. I'm gonna tell you what right now. That was my number 1 takeaway from the game. Look at this dive he took. He takes the dive, gets the 15-yard penalty, and then ends it with a gritty. It can't get any more lamer than that. I'm telling you what, if that was my son, I would have come out of the stands. You know what? I ain't going to embarrass him right there on national TV. But I would have got to Ronald, I would have got to Nicholas, and they would have been running gassers, and I would have been chewing them out the whole way. You kidding me? You're gonna just take a dive. Sure, it worked. You know what? I might have been all right, and it may have just been one gasser, one like down and not down and back gasser, if he'd have done that. But it was the pop up into the gritty that took me over the top. That is utterly lame and ridiculous. All right, man. You just can't do that. You just can't do that, Nito, or whatever your name is. And I mean, Bill O'Brien probably over there clapping his hands. But I mean, we would be on film watching this like, hey, dude, hey, man, you pushing the boundaries of soccer a little bit too much. I mean, listen, I know LeBron has had some flops. I know James Harden has had some flops, some of the NBA guys. That's the worst flop I've ever seen in my life. And then the pop-up into celebration into the gritty. If I were the official, I would have hit him with a 15-yarder, and they would have offset. I may have ejected him out of the game for being so silly, for being one, it would have been two flags. One, the dive you took, and then unsportsmanlike for that celebration you did. That dude ought to be ashamed. He'd be suspended the first half in the next game for me.
I mean, I don't know if it was all that, but
I'm sorry. Like something
I thought it was
buttons.
pretty funny.
I bet you did. I bet you did. Something pushed buttons to me. That whole situation. I watched that live. I said, "Is this guy kidding me?" And then 69, he got cussed out and yanked right out of the game for it. Probably because he wasn't blocking well at all. Hi, Mom. Hey, Courtney.